Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense
It
Force.
is very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
And pleasant good evening to you, my valued listening audience out there. Welcome one, welcome all, welcome, welcome, welcome. We welcome you to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. And tonight, or should I say this evening? Well, all the same. Night, evening, it ain't morning, eh? Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we in for a lot of information. So I don't know if we can get no calls, but I tell you one thing, I don't really care about calls tonight because we got so much to spill. We gonna spill our guts tonight in Maritime, here on Maritime Matters. Our sponsors for today's show are 101 Pharmacy and also Island Care Pharmacy. For all your medication needs, check out my little cousin Shantia McBride and her lovely team at 101 Pharmacy in Nassau. And of course, in Freeport, we got Island Care Pharmacy. Fill your prescription at the store or send your refills via the online site, 101pharmacy.com. That's 101pharmacy, all lowercase, all one word, .com. The three locations are East Street South, Charles Sanders Highway, and of course, Explorers Way in downtown Freeport. And of course, we are jelapized for a late start. It's all my fault. My good producer, Craig Gibson, had absolutely nothing to do with it. You know, he got my back and he keep things going. So I said, boy, Craig, you got to do something. He put on some Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. You all know our theme song, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. We are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. That's us. That's BMC. Boy, look here. We can't on paro there. We provide a full slate of ISPS Maritime Security Services. And thirdly, we are sponsored jointly by GBI Pilots and Bimini Pilots. These are a contingent of independent marine pilots that are making themselves available to provide marine pilotage to any and all ships, Bahama-wide. That means any family island, any big city, we don't care. If you need piloting, hey, GBI pilots and Bimini pilots, they are there for you. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to touch lightly on our local maritime matters and dive deep into the international maritime feeds. We're getting deep into them today. Our discussions will include, first of all, we can talk about the penalties for employees that hire migrants without the appropriate work permit. You know, in past shows I was saying, but you know, they got that employers should not employ or hire non-documented workers, people who does not have Bahamian status and also do not have the appropriate work permit for that function. Should not be employed. And if they are, there was no teeth in the act to address that. Well, I owe the legislature, I owe the minister, I owe every single immigrant, I owe all of them an apology. Because I can tell you tonight, somebody pointed it out to me, and tonight I will reveal exactly what happens to that person. Now, we could talk about what the regulations say supposed to happen to them. But is there enforcement on that? Do we hear or know of any employer being charged with hiring employees without the appropriate work permit? the non-Bahamian employee. Because I haven't heard about any of them going in court and getting that. Boy, and that's a heavy fine and plenty else in jail. I was saying, let's give them 1 day in jail. Boy, but the act got way more than that. And we can talk about that in a minute, right? So, I don't have to worry about that legislation anymore. So, Superman, our Minister of Works, Mr. Clay Sweeting, my brother, you don't have to worry about me getting on you about putting legislation in place, because legislation is there. All we need to do now is enforce it. And I think that don't come under the Minister of Labor. I mean the Minister of Works. I think that come under the Immigration Department and the Labor Department. So we really are going to be dealing with Iron Man. The Minister of Immigration, Mr. Alfred, say I can call him Iron Man, because they had them men in green, the gunmen in green, I call them, all over Eleuthera. I got from good source, all over Eleuthera in the past couple of weeks. They were on corners, they were checking cars, they were trying to make sure if you ain't documented and you look a little dodgy and you're coming from there, one of them shanty towns, we're letting you move unless you show us what you got. But as you know, I ain't concerned about that. I am not concerned so much about the gunmen in green stopping people from hitting the road. My concern is, when are you all going to go on those job sites and charge that employer for engaging or employing that non-documented worker? You don't have to worry about where them people live. Let man leave them people alone, please. Let them live. But don't allow them to break our laws under the Immigration Act, which says they're not supposed to work without a proper valid work permit. And if they do, the employer, mind you, I had it wrong. It's the employee who they really have much penalty for. Boy, but that employer and plenty problems. I can't wait to see some of them getting locked up, eh? We're also going to talk about the Red Sea shipping security. Red Sea security for shipping. You know, the Houthis been having their way. We had various military warships. We have the UN saying we could do this, the EU saying we could do that. And what is the status now? Because I can tell you, it is still extremely dangerous. Because those ballistic missiles that the Houthis sending out, boy, you try something, they still sending them out. Trust me on that. And then we got some other issues pertaining to that. The piracy has increased since the focus got away from those Somalis and now gone on to the Yemen with the Houthis and them. The Somalis now bringing in ships, and they bringing them and making sure they get mucho dinero, money pile up like dirt. That's what we say in the Bahamas. Oh yeah, money like dirt. Those pirates carrying on. We'll talk about some of that. Then we'll talk a little bit about what cruise ships are being built, which one are going to be released soon, what they look like. We got Cunard is finally getting back in the game, and they have a brand new ship called the Queen Anne that's going to be delivered very soon. And then we got the P&O Princess Cruises. They got the Sun Princess that again is about to be released. There's a little delay, but we'll talk about all of that. Then we got a lot of wind farms to talk about. What's going on in the UK? Scotland got this big wind farm. New York City got this big one about to begin, but you know they had a lot of issues with the bidding process. They got all that cleared up, and then they changed some of the things with the material, and now they're about to get going with that. Even big New York, Denmark, the biggest one in the world. Well, you know, they had the very first one, the very first wind farm. And I remember seeing that. And I'll tell you but where I saw it, why I saw it, and when I saw it. I was surprised. That's the first time I saw a wind farm. And they are huge. I can tell you, those things ain't easy. But the amount of power that they produce is wind. Well, I don't know what word to use. You know, I'm no big English man. But it ain't mind blowing. But boy, it's very powerful, eh? Very powerful. We'll talk about some of that too. These are the basic topics that we seek to engage today. Be advised that we are locked and loaded as always with information. So please stay tuned as we unload this litany of details surrounding these timely topics. And you know, I take this opportunity to give a shout out to my number one fan, Auntie May, my Auntie May up in Freeport, right up in there. 91 years old, people, and going strong. And I say hi to those lovely daughters Auntie May have. But what I really want to do, I want you, my listening audience, to hear what Auntie May sent to me pertaining to Maritime Matters last week. I want you all to hear this 91-year-old break down my show better than I could probably do it. And with that, all right, Auntie May. Auntie May, I need you to let them know what time it is. So while they listen, let them have it. This is Auntie May, people. My 91-year-old Auntie May.
Baby, how you doing? It's midday now. This is after 12. But I'm doing okay. So far, so good. I had breakfast around, we'll see, 9 something. I had to put my phone on charge. Because something I was watching, my phone going dead. When I put the phone on, my phone is dead. But I'll put it on charge while I go and eat breakfast. So I come from up the breakfast table around 10 o'clock, 10 something. And I say, well, yeah, I can listen again to Maritime Matters, and then I can see what I can remember and let you know. Hey, I hope you're doing okay. Well, I know, you all right. So now let me see what I can remember. The first thing you talk about was past Venezuela. Thank you, say they have shanty town, they must be on tea or something more their property, and then they don't want them break down because that's their property and they want them they making money. But again, the building wasn't made right. No, as a shack. So you said that if they wanted the Haitians them to live there, then build something properly and then make sure they have permit and to work and to live in the Bahamas. Okay? Boy, oh boy. Then what you talk about then? You talk about Iran fire barrage of missile and drones at Israel, but about 90 to 99% of them get shot down in the air. But some land, some did land, I think, or the piece or something in Israel, but it didn't do much damage. But Israel say they can retaliate. So what helped me? America don't want Israel to fire back, because they believe that would escalate war in the East. And then it might just come to be the Third World War. But Israel say they can do it anyhow. And I think why Iran fired Israel is because some time ago Israel sent missile on Syria and killed one commander or something. And I think this is why Iran fired at Israel. What else you talk about? You talk about that, then you talk about the Haitian food. But went to Port-au-Prince, loaded with food stuff. And two group of guys, I don't know, they called themselves some kind of whatever. But it was two group of them attacked the boat, and he said he had a 5 hours gunfight. Some people got killed before they take over the boat and take off a lot of rice. About 6% of what was on the boat, because they like rice. And they even kidnapped the guys who was on the boat. They kidnapped them. And, oh Lord, 10 people get killed. You didn't say how much. But some of them get killed. Before the boat now, I didn't understand whether the boat finished land, the balance of rice would leave on the boat or not. But at least the boat sailed away, and it's believed that the crew sailed off with the boat. They was on the boat because they must have kidnapped them first, I guess, and then because they wanted money and all. They got the right, they want money and all. You know, so now the United States really don't want Israel to retaliate, because Israel retaliate. It means that Iran gonna be do more heavily on them again, and it really, might escalate. Oh Lord, I tell you, I don't know. Anyhow, let me put this in peace. The Bible say in the end there'd be wars and rumors of war. So then we talk about again. The Haitian. You mentioned something, the common credits dying under the seaweed turning white. What else you talk about again? Then you mentioned about Russia and Ukraine, China, and Lord, what a little country named there, China. And yeah, China, I think he meant to take that over, like how Russia take over Ukraine. Then you say like United States to America, to the Bahamas. If anyone tried to take over the Bahamas, America wouldn't allow that. To understand that is, well, the conversation between you and whoever called, I understand. I understand so far, but I can't clarify whatever is talking about. Then my friend called me. Hi, anyway. That's about here away from you, right? And she talked about how we're trying to do this for Haiti, but the fact remains, ain't that you're trying to do something, you're trying to help, because everybody hungry, everybody killing one another, and you know what I mean? So you just trying to, then you mentioned you went out and you saw one pastor, I didn't remember the name. So my friend tell you the name of the church over there, whoever this pastor was. And it was a long line of people waiting for food. Boy, and he said sometime ago, people ain't born around that, but things change now. Maybe they need it, maybe they need it, but I believe some just like slackness. Maybe not, but that's what you say. This long line, waiting for food. So, what else you talk about? I remember no more, must be a. And I remember no more. Yeah, we had a good conversation with the mom. with the Haitian thingman. And the fighting and carrying on. And then he said, it was 5 hours gunfight. And then he say how much they killed. Oh Lord, I might say. But anyhow, talk about the guys who's supposed to go to do this peacekeeping. And you say one country was supposed to send, must say 1,000 police, but they don't need police. They need some military people who gonna, handle them. So, yeah, what else he talk about? I remember no more, man. I remember no more. Yeah, carbon. Get it. And you see something, but they're collecting some on the boat or vessel or something, and they bury them in the ground. And you see how, because the carbon dying under the seaweed is white. That's must be all I can remember, Glenn. I hope I can remember some more next time. But anyhow, I think I remember no more. But you know how it goes sometimes. Like tonight now, I remember something I ain't tell you. But that's all I can remember now, child, bro. So I hope you're doing okay. I listened to the thing of last night all night till it was the end. But I remember what this guy was talking about. I remember. But anyhow, I hope you're doing okay. I'm fine. Since I had breakfast, I come right down and I had a nap. And I just wake up. And I wake up and I was thinking to myself for all I can remember and all like that. So I say, babe.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my good old. See, when I be talking about anime, you all just think I be pulling something. And let me tell you something. Anime, again, is 91 plus. She's 91 and going strong, headed for 92 years old. And that is her breakdown of last week. And I think she leave nothing out. I told Anime, I said, Anime, I couldn't do a better job than that. See, that's the reason why I got to play this. And I told her I could play this. So people could hear and understand what a Bahamian 91-year-old lady is capable of. So she write all that down, She just was reiterating what she remember because she listened to the show in her own time after it was sent out. And that's a breakdown. That's my good old Anime. So good night to you again, Anime. And thank you so much for sharing that breakdown with Maritime Matters' audience. So, ladies and gentlemen, I take pleasure in introducing to you tonight the man behind the controls, our wonderful producer. I reserve no hesitation in presenting to you tonight the insatiable, the man of the hour and the man with all the power. He is fully able, quite capable, the one and only Mr. Craig Gibson. Yes, that big time defense force salute. Boy, he got that salute down pat. Thank you, Craig. You're listening to Maritime Matters, people. On this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters airs weekly at 17:05. And for those of you all here, you understand 17:05 means 1705 minutes, eh? Because after 1200 hours, you get 1300, 1400, 1500. So 1700 will have to be 5 o'clock. So 5:05 on Tuesdays. We're a little late today. Don't watch nothing. We can make it for that next week. Here on Love 97 FM. The purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to the maritime in the Bahamas and to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and international feeds. And of course, tonight is going to be mainly international feeds because there ain't much going on with the domestic feed right now, eh? Read the papers lately, maritime stuff. Halfway through the show, and we almost there. The phone lines will be open and you can Just give us your impression or give us your input with maritime in our show. Anything maritime, but of course, if you want to pick up on the topic when we hit it, no problem with that. The number to call, 326-8255. That's 326-8255. You will be yanked into Maritime Matters. We're talking maritime, people. You're listening to Maritime Matters. Again, I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. And here at this point, we move to our first break. When we return, we will engage tonight's maritime discussion. You listen in. You don't want to miss this one, people. So please, stay tuned. Thank you very much.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, assisted by my good old Auntie May, 91 years and going strong. She's listening in and she's right there with us. So next week, well, we give you a breakdown every now and then. But Auntie May is not easy, and I want you all to know that. So right now, let's go back to where we're supposed to be. We talk about the Immigration Act. We talk about what is the penalty for those who employ migrants that does not hold a valid work permit for the engagement that they are employed. And according to the Immigration Act, and I got a copy right there, I was directed to the Immigration Act, Part 6, Section 29. And Part 629, 1 says, no person shall engage in any gainful occupation in the Bahamas unless A, he or she, you know when they say he in Ag, they mean he or she, is a citizen of the Bahamas. If you're a citizen of the Bahamas, you can work. That's straightforward. Any country, if you're a citizen, then you can work how you feel, eh? B, he is a permanent resident whose certificate of permanent residency permits him to engage in gainful employment. So every permanent resident don't have the permission to also work, but it needs to be stated on there. So if you're going to employ somebody, make sure check it properly now. C, he is within either of the categories specified in paragraph C or D of subsection 1 of section 20. Well, that section goes into, you know, if you come over here, you work for the American Embassy or you're a diplomat or that type of thing, right? Where really you working for your country, but you just place here for that purpose. You ain't need no work permit from us, right? D, he is in possession of a valid permit issued in accordance with the provisions of Section 30, permitting him to engage in such occupation. So that means if you have a work permit that is valid for what you're doing, yeah, then you could wake. E, he is a person or within a category of persons whom the minister has by order specified as entitled to engage in gain. And you will get that that will be a document you have that the minister signed off on to say you could wake in that particular little. And a lot of times I come with them heads of department, heads of agreement, where they have a specified job for a certain amount of period to build something, but certainly not to remain after it's built. Okay? So that's another one there. Section 2 say any person who engages in any gainful occupation in contravention of the provisions of this section shall be guilty of an offense against this act. Don't say what happened to them, but if you take on employment without having a valid or proper permit, then you are guilty of an offense against this act. Now let's go to number 3. Know what number 3 says? Number 3 says any person who, whether on his own behalf or on behalf of another, employs any person who, under the provisions of subsection 1 of this section, is prohibited from engaging in any gainful occupation, shall be guilty of an offense against this act. And on summary conviction, in other words, after you get convicted, whether in court or they do summary conviction in immigration, but however, on summary conviction, shall be liable to a fine not exceeding $10,000. Okay, so you can get fined $100. You can get fined $1, but you can also get fined up to $10,000 for hiring somebody without a work permit, or without a valid work permit for what they hired for. Or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years. You could get up to 5 years if you employ somebody who doesn't have a valid permit to do the work you employ them to do. So you all who employing these people to cut your grass, make sure these people are sorted out. Otherwise, you could get 5 years. I think they could do it to us, right? But guess what? The act say they're supposed to do it to us. And it goes on to say, or to both such fine and imprisonment. So they could fine you the $10,000 and give you 5 years if it's an extreme situation. Of course, this is after summary conviction, eh? So all those shows I've been saying, oh, they need to put more teeth in that. Well, you ain't need no more teeth than this. All we need now is enforcement, eh? We need enforcement so that somebody can start getting some degree of penalty based on this section, section 29(3) under Part 6 of the Immigration Act. And it's clear, everybody can see it. Now, I got a call on the line. I thought I had a call on the line. Producer, that's a caller? Oh, okay. That caller decided I must either cover what he wanted to say. So I'm gone. It could have been her. I don't know. But ladies and gentlemen, we are saying based on our existing laws, if you were to hire an undocumented or a non-Bahamian without a valid or proper work permit to do any kind of employment, you could get up to $10,000 fine, and in addition, 5 years in jail. Of course, based on summary conviction. But I don't know if that happened in our country. I cannot recall any employer getting penalized under the Immigration Act or this section of the Immigration Act for employing, and we see it all the time, eh? If you live in Nassau, you see it all the time. If you live in Freeport, you see it all the time. Because we know definitely when some of these people, or the caller's online now. Caller, you on Maritime Matters, my brother. Hello.
Hey, Captain Dwayne, what's going on?
Hey, my brother from another land, Mr. 8 Mile Rock himself, hanging out in Savannah Sound, Eleuthera. No, he's a traveling man.
Yes, sir.
What's happening, King Arthur? How goes it?
So what's up, man? How you doing?
Well, it's all good, man. I'm getting better all the time. You know how I roll. What's happening with you?
Listen, the people we put in power, put to manage our affairs, we put them there for a reason. Either you listen to us, or somebody else will listen to us.
But now we've been putting people in power.
That we want you to do. We want you to follow the law. We have legislation in place where people be put in to yes, the governors, man, you know what I mean? Right now, they're playing foolish with the law. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we need enforcement, man. We need enforcement.
There's something in place right now called corporal punishment or hanging. You know what I mean? If you give a life, if you take a life, your life's supposed to be taken. You know what I mean? Let's do the right thing, regardless of who it is. You know what I mean? It can't be favoritism. Okay? When God created the universe, all of us are equal. You got blood, I got blood. You know, when you shed mine, I shed yours.
Yeah, but when it come, let's keep it maritime now. We're talking about situations where people are coming here on ships, not landing at a port where they should be landing. They barging their way in here, which of course we know is happening all the time. And eventually, after they've been in here for a while, they start working. And my thing is, yeah, you violated the law by getting in here the wrong way. But don't double violate by trying to work too. Man, mind you being here and getting feed from people you know or whatever. But no, man, when you try to work now, you really violating our laws, and those laws are put in place for the protection of Bahamian citizens.
Good.
So now you're violating our protection, eh?
And right now we need our people in power, to put these laws to work. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said that, to say the same thing you were saying just now. People are already there. Now, if you don't want to be able to do it, then we can put somebody else there to do it. What do you think?
Yeah, but what we need to do is we need the ministers, because the act always speak to the minister, not even the permanent secretary, the minister. We need the ministers of immigration, the ministers of works, the ministers, works is doing the thing now, ministers of the director of labor, the minister of labor, to ensure they need to give the green light to those officers, because I can assure you, I was an officer for many years. Those officers want to get the job done, They got a gag around their neck from the ministers, from the politicians, from the cabinet. I telling you.
Okay, between me and you, did you do your job effectively?
Man, I wasn't easy. Yeah, I ain't got no time to play. But then sometimes, I remember one time I arrested a vessel, a Cuban fishing boat, and the minute I reached Coral Harbor 1 mile marker, I was told to release them. You know how upset I was. I bring them all the way from Key South. And when I reached the 1 mile marker, they could tell me, okay, we have instructions. You have instructions now to release that vessel. I say, release the vessel, and they full of stuff.
In the Bahamas?
Man, I was almost back in the base.
Listen to me carefully. Between you and me, that's the kind of leaders we had. We don't want us no more.
Yeah, but I'm saying that the government ministers, the cabinet and whatnot, they're the ones who cause the officers to have to hold back. These officers won't do their job. I'm telling you. You let that immigration department get the green light now. They will be on almost every job around here. You let the minister of labor, Ms. Pia Glover, tell her department officers that they could go on these jobs, like as we know certain food stores, like as we know certain gas stations, and any undocumented worker. You make sure that the owners who hired these people are written up to be faced with those $10,000 fine and those 5 years in prison, and you will watch things change in this country. They just gotta give those officers the green light, my friend. That's it.
So that's what we need. That's what we really need. But we don't need them to be favoritism with no one. We need them to do the work.
We never get that, and this is not just with this Davis administration. This is not just with the menace administration, the Ingram administration, and the Christie administration. This was way back to the Penal administration, and well, I wouldn't say before that, because I think we had so much migrant situations, because Haiti was doing back, and we used to do free trading back then. But this is across the board with administration after administration. It's always a government thing, my brother. They say, I point no finger at nobody, because we need to get it fixed, though.
It was like 100 times loose. Like the people got ankle bracelets, you report at a certain time. 100 was trying loose to report at a certain time. I don't think any of them reported yet.
Well, I know nothing but that, because that ain't maritime, so I leaving that alone. But I sticking with the maritime stuff. We dealing with the migrants coming in by boat, and eventually they doing things. But first of all,
it was illegal. They was in the detention center.
Yeah, we don't need no detention center, man. Why we need detention center? You got less than 1% of the migrants in the detention center, and 99% of them. What do you need detention center for? No, you just put pressure on the employers, and you will watch them flee this country. You will watch them flee this country.
Yeah, that's true. They were locked up for violation.
Lock up the owners. No. Lock up the employers, man. Lock up the employers. You ain't got to worry about letting people run free if they want to run free. But whenever somebody employ them, that's who to put pressure on. And you will watch them leave this land in record time.
Yeah, well, anyhow, nice talking to you. And let somebody else get it, man. I want to hear Captain B-R-A-I-N. Come on now.
Thank you so much, my friend. I'm King Arthur. Well, you continue to enjoy yourself at home, man. And, we'll keep in touch. Thank you so much.
All right.
Oh, that's my friend King Arthur. I don't know why you're trying to get me wake up like this. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for all that wake up business. That ain't really... but sometimes you just have to run out, Because I have been a Defense Force officer for over 18 years. So ain't nobody need to tell me that you don't have officers out there who would like to carry out the regulations to a T. But they are bridled. And this goes for the police force. This goes for the Defense Force. This goes for especially and particularly the immigration department, the customs department. You name it, the prison, everywhere. You got people who want, but they're bridled. And so some of the officers who are doing foolishness are protected by those in power. And so they feel like doing that is a waste of time. Or doing that is going to cost me, who try and enforce the law, to get in problems. So it has to be a commitment at the top. That's how these things work, top down. If you don't have a commitment at the top, which is from my Roll Avenue 1 good friend, the Prime Minister, Mr. Davis, and the ministers of the cabinet, this is where it starts. And if the commitment is not there, then why you gonna blame the officers? Come on, because I can guarantee you, if the commitment is there and the green light is given, man, this country will be cleaned up in record time. Not only from the immigration perspective, from the customs perspective, a bunch of foolishness going on there. From the police perspective, from this country will be cleaned up, my friend. But the reality that happening is not very, very positive, because this is nothing new. This is something that from time and not only our country, and not only just about all the other countries of the Caribbean, this is basically worldwide. But if we could make our nation the best little country in the world and show them, like Singapore did, this is how it should be done, and these are the good results you could get as a result, then all Bahamians will be happy, All Bahamians will be happy. Although some are happy while others are sad, and you get some who take advantage of the system, but we ain't all about that. Let's stick with maritime. My good buddy, Captain Herbie Brain, to say, we talking maritime, and that's what we talking tonight. So, we talk about the cruise ship ports at the Family Islands. We want to make the Bahamas government the number one owner of reception facilities for cruise ships in the Bahamas. Because right now, we're not even number 2. We're not even number 3. Those cruise ships have their own private ports, and some of them have numerous, while the only one the Bahamas government have. And we don't even have all of that no more. Right now, we only have 49% of that based on a lease. And that is the port of Nassau, the Nassau Cruise Port. That's the only one. We talk about very swiftly transforming Morgan's Bluff. Because Morgan's Bluff, as we know it, is already equipped with a dock. It's already equipped with a deep water channel. It's already equipped with a turning basin. Those things just need to be improved to the extent where a cruise ship can go in and out of Morgan's Bluff. That's the lowest hanging fruit. And there's no real reason why in this day and time, in this country, the government of the Bahamas, be it whatever administration or whoever administration, the government of the Bahamas has not earmarked Morgan's Bluff with a plan to within 3 years convert to receive cruise ships. Because that ups the ante for the family island. Do you know how many people from North Andros are living in Nassau and Freeport right now because they cannot find a job in North Andros with their qualification that they can make a reasonable amount of money? They gotta come to Nassau or Freeport and in time build their home back, and when they retire they go back to Andros and live in a nice air conditioned home that they were able to build because they was in. And then why did they tell you all to go back home? No man, build a port there, not build a port, improve the port at Morgan's Bluff, and they will return home in droves. Not only that, some Nassauvians and Freeportians and will be going that way to facilitate and accommodate those cruise, especially if you have 2 ships a day. Come on, man. This doable. This is the lowest hanging fruit we got. And then after we finish with Morgan's Bluff, let's start planning out the whole Bahamas. There's no reason on earth why every single developed Bahamas family island, when I say develop, I'm not talking about first world, because they ain't on our street first world, right? I'm talking about where they have a good handful of people, because when the election come around, we got constituencies where people voting, eh? That means there's a lot of people there, at least one good 3,000-4,000 people in that area where they voted. And some islands got more than one constituency. So let's have each island, wherever the ocean touches the land, have a jetty. It don't even have to be an enclosed dock. Have a jetty that can facilitate at least 2 cruise ships. Look at what Carnival is now doing in Grand Bahama, in that secluded area, that area where there's nobody living in that area, on that main highway, almost opposite the University of Bahamas that the hurricane messed up. Ain't nobody living in that area, but I could guarantee you, when you see that port finish and they're getting that 2 cruise ships a day, that area will develop around that vicinity so fast. Because you're going to have so many activities, so many people there to be able to facilitate and accommodate so many activities that it'll be cheaper to move in that area sometimes. And the properties will go up and yada, yada, yada. So we got Morgan's Bluff. We got Sandy Point, that little area just to the south of Sandy Point called that touches the ocean, Southwest Point. Develop that area the same way. Just put a jetty. This don't cost too much money for the country. But you know that if that area is developed, cruise ships want to stop. Do you know the Bahamas people? The Bahamas alone is almost the size, if not bigger, than the entire Eastern Caribbean. You're talking about Trinidad, Barbados, Antigua, St. Kitts, St. Martin, Guadeloupe, Martinique, you got St. Lucia. You put all of the whole area together, and the Bahamas will rival. But guess what? Each one of those, I'll call them islands, although they're countries, have their own cruise ship dock. So what's stopping us from replicating that here in our Bahamas? Do you know how much fuel costs for a cruise ship to leave Florida and go? And when I say Florida, you know we got the 3 big dogs, the 3 biggest home ports in the world. That's the Port of Miami, Cape Canaveral, and Port Everglades. They leave from there and go all the way to the Eastern Caribbean, where they could leave from there and cover 5 different Bahamian islands, or we could have even 10 different Bahamian islands where they saving fuel because they only go from one island to the next, and then from that one to the next. They don't even have to leave the Bahamas, and every island is a different experience, eh? And you ain't gonna worry about all the crime no more. You got beaches that are virgins. You'll be the first one on a beach in some of these islands when you come off that cruise ship to go ashore. Come on, man. These cruise ships are bringing the people to us. Let's set up shop so we can utilize what they're doing to cause us to be a big improvement. You know what it is, what it'll be like for the people from Cat Island to go back home, because now they got so many jobs because they have 2 cruise ships coming there on a regular basis. Crooked Island, Acklands, Meguana, what we call the way out islands or the far out islands, they will develop so fast. All because the government used the initiative to build jetties. Not even, man, you could start building big time docks after that, so that even if the weather rough, and then you got a pilot that'll go to deal with all these ships. So the whole Bahamas will now have on all these islands pilots that can train the younger ones on those islands to become pilots. And I wouldn't even mention the agencies, the tours, the limousines and taxis. This is what the Bahamas will come to if our government uses the initiative to develop cruise ship berthing facilities on every single island. And this is not difficult, people. This is very doable. And it may not happen because it hasn't happened as yet, but I can guarantee you, the first government to put that plan in place and start to realize those goals wouldn't have nothing to worry about for a while. Hint, hint. Not for a while. Okay. So we talk about Morgan's Bluff, Sandy Point, and then you got Cape Eleuthera, Devil's Point. We got Roker's Point and Exuma. You got the ocean coming close enough, eh? Clarence Town, Long Island. They poised for these things. Landrail Point. Come on. Ocean right there on the land. Port Nelson. Where's Port Nelson? That's in the little island called Rumkey, eh? Rumkey will then develop overnight. Betsy Bay, Meguana. Wonderful area. Beautiful. Just put a little jetty on the western side there. That side don't be rough too often. And of course, by the lighthouse in Machu Town, Inagwe. People, this is extremely doable. All we need is for our politicians. And when I say politicians, I mean on both sides of the coin. Or is it a triangle now? I don't know. But the politicians get together and decide this is the way forward for this country. We're going to set a 10-year plan or 15-year plan so that no matter which entity is in government, they got a plan to follow. And at the end of this 10 years or 15 years, every single island in the Bahamas will have a dock that can facilitate cruise ships. That's where we need to go. Now, we're going to move right along the line. Well, look like we got to go down another break because only 15-20 minutes left of the show. So what we'll do, ladies and gentlemen, we'll dash to another break. And after this break, we'll talk about the Red Sea dilemmas again. We got all kind of stuff going on in the Red Sea. And, of course, times we finish that, if we have any more time after that, we'll talk about some cruise ship deliveries, all the rest of that good stuff. So, till we get back, this is Captain Glenn Bain, Maritime Matters. Thank you very much.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, as we move right along. And the number to call if you want in on the show is 326-8255. That's 326-8255. Feel free to call at any time. If you don't feel like calling, call us later. But we got plenty of information to go over now. We want to talk about the EU's, the European Union's, their security mission in the Red Sea area because of the Houthis is getting smaller. And it goes on to say the German frigate. Now, this information is coming directly from Maritime Executive. If you go online and you Google Maritime Executive, they give you a lot of maritime information. Every single day they send me the feeds. So, the German frigate, Hessen, I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, has departed the Red Sea without replacement. So here it is, we had a warship from Germany leave the Red Sea, but they didn't send a replacement. The departure of the Hessen leaves Greek, French, and Italian forces to shoulder the EU Operation Aspides or Aspides. I don't know how you pronounce these kind of words, right? The Aspides or Aspides operation that all of these countries get together and say they're gonna. And why they got together? Because you got to recall back in the day when I was letting everybody know that the Suez Canal, which is fed by way of the Red Sea coming from the south. The Suez Canal is one of the most busiest shipping areas in the world because the ships that come from the Indian Ocean wanting to go to the north or to the west, in order to get to the Mediterranean Sea, which feeds into the Atlantic Ocean, they have to go through the Suez Canal, which is run by Egypt. And the Suez Canal, you can't get to that unless you go through the Red Sea. But aligning the Red Sea to a big area to the north is the country by the name of Yemen. And to the south, you get this country that we know, where all the pirates, Somalia, where all the pirates try to get at those ships. So to the north, to the south, you got the Somali pirates trying to get on your ship. And to the north, you get the Houthis firing missiles which is even worse, eh? So what happened lately is because ships decided they're no longer going to go that way. They now decided they're going to go all the way around South Africa. All the way around the eastern side of Africa to the south round the Cape of Good Hope, and then all the way back up to the western side of Africa until they reach the Mediterranean Sea again, and then they got to keep going north to get to the European countries and the Baltic Sea and those type areas. Or if they go in west of the US, then they just go that way west. But it take them another 14 to 18 days, depending on what speed they're doing, to do that long route. So what the countries, the EU countries, have decided is that we can stop these Houthis. We can't allow them to cause ships to have to go through all of this, because it's now hiking up money for everybody. They take more fuel, they take more time, and all the rest of that. Time is money in shipping, fuel is money in shipping, and so the cost of goods going up worldwide. So you think the Houthis care? Boy, the Houthis don't care. So here it is. One of those ships, the German frigate, has said they left. So now the EU operation aspires naval mission in the Red Sea. Each of the three nations that are left, which is Greek, France, and Italy, they contribute one air defense frigate each. Even Denmark, either Hootfield or Hoodit, whatever that boat name, and Belgium, Louis Marie, was supposed to join the operation, but are both out of action now because of their weapon systems failure. You see, one thing with warships, if you don't go out there and practice your weaponry, when you do go out there and try to use them, sometimes they fall upon you and embarrass you. So in recent times, what has been happening with the weapons on board the Belgium and on their warships has been very frustrating, and they had to pull those ships back out, eh? So the Rear Admiral from that group told Euronews that the coalition needs more ships to restore the flow of maritime commerce. We think that since each ship can accompany a certain number of merchant ships, if the number of ships was larger, we could accompany more ships, and therefore we could hope for recovery of shipping traffic through these straits. And when they talk about these straits, he's talking about going through the Red Sea and then through the Suez Canal. Eh? The parallel, on the other side of things, the US-led operation, Prosperity Guardian, remains comparatively well-resourced. Now you can remember the US just practice these things all the time, eh? Compared to some of these other navies, with multiple Aegis destroyers on station and the carrier strike group in the Gulf of Oman. So these ones are in the Red Sea, which is really on the western side of the Persian Gulf. The U.S. is on the eastern side of the Persian Gulf. So they're down by Oman, Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, those places, right? The Persian Gulf. And so the U.S., they carrying on. Unlike the EU coalition, U.S. forces have routinely targeted and destroyed missiles and drone threats on the ground within Yemen before launch, a degree of intervention that the EU leaders have insisted they will not do. So while the U.S. is trying to get the Houthis before they even launch, because they got drones on the lookout and they got drones that are weaponized to actually take out the launching site whenever they see one try to set up. And they've been very successful at that. But there are so many, and the time is so short, and they can even do it in the night. You know, them drones ain't gonna be that as effective in the night as they are in the day. So it's still getting away. Although the US was able to put a dent in their system, yeah? And now they're talking about shipping trade groups call on the UN to protect seafarers. So in addition to all those warships out there, they got trade groups telling the UN, look, man, and this is the United Nations now, not the EU. This ain't the European Union. This is the United Nations. They saying to the United Nations, something have to be done about all of this nonsenseness, eh? So 16 commercial maritime industry associations joined together, whole 16, in a letter to the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, calling for action while saying the current situation where merchant ships and their crews are being targeted is intolerable and unacceptable. And let's quote what they said. We have seen a worrying increase in the attacks on shipping. They cite that Iran is now holding 4 commercial vessels. Iran holding 4 the tankers Advantage Suite, Niobe, and St. Nicholas, and now they got the MSC Aries, the container ship. They have 3 tankers in the container ship in Iran. The Houthis, in addition, are holding a 5th vessel, the car carrier Galaxy Leader. So the Houthis were able to get on board the Galaxy Leader, and I would mention the pirates in Somalia. They just released the ship after they got their ransom money. Let's talk about that. But let's finish what we're saying here about the United Nations letter from these 16 states or countries. And you know these countries would be those who depend heavily on the Red Sea and the Suez Canal to get their goods from one area of the world to the next. They are asking the UN to assist with every effort possible to aid in the release and protection of seafarers. Because now Iran is holding the seafarers hostage as well. And if the seafarers is from a country where they ain't too friendly with, that's more trouble. They call for all member states to be reminded of their responsibilities under international law to seafarers. And due to the evolving and severe threat profile in the Middle East, call on the UN for enhancement, coordination, military presence to protect seafarers. The letter comes as all the nations with crew members aboard the MSC Aries, which is the container ship, the big MSC container ship that Iran held hostage recently, or still holding hostage, eh? They have been pressuring Iran to release the crew. Indian officials confirmed that a female cadet aboard the container ship has returned to India. So you know Iran don't have much issues with India. They don't. Them and India ain't got no standoff like that, right? So they returned the female who was on that container ship to India, and they said Iran asserts that the crew is not being detained and can leave the country. So as far as Iran is concerned, we ain't detaining the crew. We can hold the ship. If the crew want to go to the airport and fly out, we ain't stopping them. Previously, the Philippines worked with Iran to exchange the crew aboard the tanker St. Nicholas and was able to bring home the crew members who had been trapped on the ship for months. Iran, however, require a replacement skeleton crew to maintain the ship. So Iran is saying, look, y'all can get the crew. They done been here a little while, but send us a harbor crew or a skeleton crew so that if we want the ship to move, it could move. If we want to anchor it, whatever. So there was an arrangement made, and all those Filipinos who were on board the ship when it was abducted a couple months ago were able to go home. So things happening, right? I mean, Iran, we see Iran as a very hostile country, but according to these reports from the maritime feeds, it ain't too bad. Now, pirates released the bulker called Abdullah in exchange for $5 million. Now, we ain't talking about Iran no more. We now going to Somalia, eh? Let's see what the Somalis, because they let loose after the pressure that was put on Somalia by the United Nations to cause them to be very difficult to get their pirates on board ships, or for those pirates to get on board ships. They now have to look at the Houthis, which is across the road, across the next side of the Red Sea from Somalia. And when they start focusing on the Houthis, boy, the Somalis say, oh boy, it's our time now. They ain't checking us no more. And they go on out there and they start grabbing ships, right? So the Somali pirate crew that hijacked the Bangladeshi flag bulker Abdullah. Now this ship is only flag Bangladesh. And for any reason, this could have been a ship that's flag Bahamas. Because we got some 1,600 ships out there, eh? This one was a Bangladesh ship, not a Bangladesh crew, not a Bangladesh owner, but a Bangladesh flag bulk carrier called Abdullah. They received their ransom payout and have departed the ship, releasing the vessel and its 23 crew members. So, and the Somali pirates told, if they don't get their money, they're releasing. So the Abdullah was hijacked off the coast of Puntland last month while on a voyage from Mozambique to the UAE, United Arab Emirates, with a load of coal. So there's just a bulk carrier carrying coal. But the fact, once those pirates can get on a ship, they know how to have crew, they know how to have cargo, they're going to hold a ship until they get their millions. That's how they get on. The pirates told the Reuters, which is the reporting, that they were paid $5 million in ransom, or about $220,000 per crew member. They divided the loot amongst themselves and departed in smaller groups. So, I don't know if you notice, people, dear listener, but some time back, a couple of years back, when the Somali pirates were really getting hot and they started to heat up that area and they got on a lot of ships, the monies that were paid as ransom were not going to Somalia. They were going to big banks in London and big banks in New York, because those pirates were being fed equipment. They were being fed training. Some other white-collar entities or entities that are not Somalis were setting them up with money and equipment and all that so that they could go bring the ship in. The monies were paid into those other entities' accounts, and they would then go and give the pirates a couple little change, little peanuts, eh? And that was fine back then. But the pirates from Somalia now saying, you know what? We wanted the money again. Bring the money to us. We'll share it up. So in this case, they got $220,000 per crew member. They divided the loot amongst themselves and departed in smaller groups. But it didn't end there. The ship owner, SR Shipping, confirmed to AFP, whoever that is, that a deal had been reached with the pirates. The payout suggests that piracy is still among the most lucrative criminal enterprises available along the coast of Somalia. In the heyday of maritime crime in the region, from 2005 to 2012, that's when the Somalis was really carrying on it, pirates netted about $400 million. Now, they didn't get that. Like I say, most of that was going into big city banks, and they got the drag. So, pirate sightings and approaches have been observed much more frequently in the Indian Ocean since the beginning of Houthi attacks in the Red Sea late last year. As Western navies repositioned to counter anti-ship drones and missiles from Houthi forces in Yemen, counter-piracy operations took a backseat, leaving an opening for Somali group gangs to roam at sea once more. So the Somalis are alive again, eh? And they're on the lookout, especially after they got ransom from that ship. We got to watch out for them, eh? So, while we are running out of time, because our show is about to expire, we got some stuff about the Belgian warship, how the missile stuck in the projectile, eh? And how you have some other issues with those warships. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we have to move on because we're down to 2 mics. 2 mics, 2 minutes. As our defense was saying, minutes. We're down to 2 mics. And those 2 mics, I have to pay credence to my sponsors. Bahamas Maritime Connection. Of course, we got the Bimini pilots and the GBI pilots making themselves ready, available to anyone in the world, well, anyone in our world, the Bahamas, that wants or needs pilotage services. And then we got one-on-one pharmacy, an island care pharmacy. One-on-one pharmacy in Nassau, an island care pharmacy in Freeport that want to take care of all your medication needs. And I want to thank my one caller for the night, King Arthur. Thank you so much for calling, my friend. You had a lot to to lend to us, and as we continue our fight against the immigration issues. And I want to thank you, my dear listener. I want to thank my good Auntie May for giving us something to listen to from the mind of a 91-year-old. I want to thank my good producer, Mr. Craig Gibson, for always being on point, always keeping me going. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I say good evening to you. And as always, Maritime Matters out.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch 'em